The sun, a bruised orange disk, bled across the low Hungarian plain, its anemic light struggling to pierce the creeping tendrils of autumn mist that snaked across the Tisa River. Along its western bank, a vast, sprawling city of canvas tents, tethered horses, and countless men stirred. The Ottoman army, over 80,000 strong, was in the agonizing process of crossing, a colossal serpent slowly coiling itself from one bank to the other. Dust, kicked up by thousands of hooves and boots, hung heavy in the air, mixing with the smoke of countless cooking fires, creating a suffocating haze that blurred the edges of the world. The rhythmic thud of pontoons being laid, the shouts of engineers, the lowing of oxen, and the incessant murmur of an army on the move formed a vast, discordant symphony, a sound that carried across the flatlands, a promise of impending conquest. This was no mere river crossing. It was a strategic choke point, a bottleneck of monumental proportions, where the might of an empire was exposed, vulnerable, and utterly unaware of the storm gathering on its flank. For days, Prince Eugene of Savoy, the 34-year-old commander of the imperial forces, had driven his men relentlessly across the Hungarian plains. His army, a composite force of Austrians, Germans, and Hungarians, numbering just over 50,000, had marched with a speed that defied the logistical nightmares of the era. Eugene was a man of quiet intensity, his gaze sharp, his mind a steel trap. He had pursued the Ottomans with a singular, unwavering focus, determined to bring them to battle before they could consolidate their position. Intelligence, sparse and often contradictory, had finally pinpointed their location. Now, as the imperial vanguard crested a low rise, the full, stunning panorama of the Ottoman crossing unfolded before them. The Tisa, wide and slow, was choked with the makeshift pontoon bridge. Tens of thousands of Ottoman soldiers, their distinctive banners fluttering, were either on the bridge, lining the western bank, or still within the sprawling camp on the eastern side, protected by a palisade and deep entrenchments. Eugene saw it instantly. Not a river crossing, but a trap laid by fate itself. The Ottomans, confident in their numbers and the natural barrier of the Tisa, had allowed themselves to be caught mid-maneuver, strung out and exposed. The Grand Vizier, Elmas Mehmed Pasha, had committed the cardinal sin of dividing his forces by a major obstacle without adequate protection. There was no time for elaborate planning, no room for hesitation. The sun was dipping lower, casting long, distorted shadows across the plain. Eugene's orders were swift, precise, and devoid of any doubt. "Attack!" he commanded, his voice cutting through the rising tension. "Now, before they can fully cross!" The element of surprise was paramount. Every minute counted. He deployed his army with surgical precision, leveraging the terrain and the enemy's exposed position. Imperial right wing, primarily cavalry, was ordered to sweep wide, positioning itself to cut off any retreat from the bridge. The left wing, a formidable infantry formation, was to strike directly at the entrenched camp on the eastern bank. The artillery, hauled forward with desperate speed, was to be positioned to command the bridge itself, turning the Ottoman escape route into a killing zone. The imperial army surged forward, a disciplined wave of steel and fury. The ground trembled under the synchronized march of thousands of boots, the rumble of artillery wheels, and the thundering hooves of the cavalry. The mist, now tinged crimson by the setting sun, began to swirl, partially obscuring their approach. A faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through the Ottoman camp. Sentries, caught off guard, raised belated alarms. The initial shouts of warning were swallowed by the vastness of the camp, dismissed as minor skirmishes or routine drills. Then, the first imperial cannon roared, a deafening concussion that ripped through the twilight air. It was a signal, a brutal announcement of doom. The attack erupted with terrifying suddenness. On the imperial left, the infantry smashed into the Ottoman entrenchments on the eastern bank. Bayonets flashed, muskets cracked, and the disciplined ranks of the Habsburgs tore into the unprepared Turkish defenders. The Ottomans, many still cooking their evening meals or tending their horses, scrambled for their weapons, their formations dissolving into desperate, fragmented resistance. The palisade, built for defense against a frontal assault, proved a death trap as imperial grenadiers hurled their explosive charges over the barricades, showering the defenders with shrapnel and chaos. The camp, a scene of peaceful twilight moments before, became a maelstrom of screaming men, panicked horses, and the acrid smell of gunpowder. Simultaneously, the imperial right wing, spearheaded by Prince Eugene's elite dragoons and cuirassiers, swept around the Ottoman flank. Their charge was a force of nature, a thunderous avalanche that slammed into the Ottoman cavalry and infantry attempting to cover the bridgehead. The shock of impact was immense. Ottoman formations, caught in the open, broke like glass under the weight of the disciplined imperial charge. Sabers flashed, pistols barked, and the cries of men and horses mingled in a horrifying symphony of destruction. Many Ottoman soldiers, finding their escape route to the bridge blocked by the onrushing imperial cavalry, simply plunged into the cold, swift currents of the Tisa, hoping to swim to safety, only to be dragged under by the weight of their armor or cut down by the pursuing horsemen. But the true horror unfolded at the pontoon bridge itself. Eugene's artillery, now fully deployed, began to systematically pound the crowded crossing. Cannonballs ripped through the packed ranks of Ottoman soldiers, tearing gaping holes in their formations, sending bodies and splinters of wood flying into the air. The bridge, now a bottleneck of unimaginable terror, became a conveyor belt of death. Men surged forward, desperate to reach the western bank, trampling their comrades in their frantic flight. But the relentless artillery fire, coupled with the imperial cavalry pressing from the east, turned the crossing into a slaughterhouse. The bridge groaned and shuddered, its pontoons collapsing under the weight of the dead and dying, pitching hundreds more into the swirling river. The Tisa, once a barrier, now transformed into a watery grave, its surface choked with corpses, discarded weapons, and the flotsam of a shattered army. The Grand Vizier, Elmas Mehmed Pasha, trapped on the eastern bank, fought with desperate courage to rally his men. But the surprise and ferocity of the imperial assault had utterly shattered their morale. His personal guard, the elite janissaries, tried to form a defensive perimeter around him, but they too were overwhelmed by the relentless imperial push. The Ottoman command structure disintegrated, leaders falling, orders dissolving into the cacophony of battle. The Sultan, Mustafa II, who had been observing the battle from the safety of the western bank, could only watch in horrified impotence as his army was systematically dismembered. His attempts to send reinforcements across the collapsing bridge were futile, their ranks decimated before they could even reach the eastern shore. As darkness fully descended, illuminated only by the flashes of muskets and cannon fire, the battle became a brutal, relentless pursuit. The imperial forces, fueled by their overwhelming success, gave no quarter. The Ottoman camp on the eastern bank was overrun, its defenders either cut down or driven into the river. The slaughter at the bridge continued for hours, a testament to the unyielding pressure applied by Eugene's forces. By midnight, the fighting began to subside, not because of a ceasefire, but because there were simply no more organized Ottoman forces left to fight on the eastern side of the Tisa. The pontoon bridge lay shattered, a broken spine across the river, its wreckage testimony to the catastrophic defeat. The sun rose the next morning on a scene of unimaginable devastation. The Tisa ran red with blood, its banks strewn with thousands upon thousands of Ottoman dead. Over 30,000 Ottoman soldiers had been killed or drowned, including the Grand Vizier and 27 pashas. Tens of thousands more were wounded or captured. The imperial losses were shockingly light, barely 500 men. The entire Ottoman camp, including 160 artillery pieces, countless standards, and even the Sultan's personal seal, the ultimate symbol of Ottoman authority, fell into imperial hands. The Battle of Zenta was not just a victory, it was an annihilation. The shock waves from Zenta reverberated across Europe. For centuries, the Ottoman Empire had been a seemingly unstoppable tide, its armies threatening Vienna, pushing ever deeper into the heart of the continent. But Zenta irrevocably shattered that perception. It marked the definitive end of Ottoman expansion into Central Europe and signaled the beginning of their long, slow decline. The victory cemented Prince Eugene of Savoy's reputation as one of history's truly brilliant military commanders, a tactician who could seize an opportunity with breathtaking speed and execute a battle plan with devastating efficiency. The Treaty of Karlowitz, signed 2 years later, formally recognized the vast territorial gains made by the Habsburg monarchy, including all of Hungary and Transylvania. Zenta was the crucible in which the modern Austrian Empire was forged, a pivotal moment that shifted the balance of power in Europe and secured the future of Christendom against the Ottoman threat. It was a battle born of audacious strategy and executed with ruthless precision, a testament to the power of surprise and decisive action, ensuring that the legacy of Zenta would forever be etched into the annals of military history as the day an empire was broken and a new power rose to dominate the continent.